Hello and welcome to another episode of African Women Empowerment Network. Today we are privileged to have Nisheeka Cruickshank, Ralph of the Journey of Jerisa. I've been practicing that name, Nisheeka. Well, we are broadcasting from London, United Kingdom, and I must apologize. We've had a problem with the network. Nisheeka is a statement accessories designer. Welcome, Nisheeka. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Right. I've seen your statement pieces, Nisheeka, and I must say they're very creative and beautiful. Can I ask, or can you tell us what compelled you to become an accessories designer?
Well, there's a lot of layers to take off from that answer. I've always been a person who's into accessories, always into dressing up. I'm always that dressing up person.
Right.
But apart from that, I got to the stage in life where I was bored. I was spending a lot of time on social media just scrolling. Along with that, I just felt bored, felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life. And I just decided I got to do something. And I thought, why not turn my love for accessorizing outfits into making them, creating them, seeing how far I can turn it into something that I genuinely like. And I remember once when I was working at one of the hospitals, one of my previous employments, one of my colleagues joked that I loved Pat Butcher's earrings. And for those that aren't UK based, Pat Butcher was one of those characters in EastEnders, and she was known for wearing loud earrings as loud as her eyeshadow. And I just felt like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make earrings as loud as my eyeshadows. And that's just pretty much where it went from there.
Oh wow, that's something interesting. Have you always then known that you're creative? Is it something that was obvious when growing up?
I've always been a creative person. I think that stems from my father was a jeweler. He was a craftsman by trade, and my mother was a seamstress. So even though her full-time job, her 9 to 5, was a secretary, she had a side hustle as a seamstress, even teaching people to sew. And I've always had that creative thing going on within my household while growing up, and I was just naturally creative. It was one of the few things I excelled in as a child. I wasn't good at maths, I wasn't good at sports, but give me anything with my hand and I was good to go. I could have mastered that.
Okay. Right. If I was to ask you, where do you have a studio? Where do you currently design from?
I share my dining room table with my son. We hardly ever eat on there. We hardly ever eat on it, but I've got half of the dining table where I create my earrings from, and he's got the other half where he's filled it up with all his Legos for whenever he's recreating stuff. So I pretty much work from home. I am working during the day, so this is pretty much an evening, nighttime, weekend sort of thing for me.
Okay, so would you say then I had a thing where I was working out the other day and my treadmill was making all this noise, and I said, you know what, in life you've got to start with what you have. So you're making use of what you have at the moment.
Exactly.
Right. Everybody has a passion, everybody has a vision, or supposed to be. What would you say is your passion, and what would you say is your vision?
My passion is to be perfect, well, almost perfect when it comes to my creations, because because it's handmade. It is handmade. I'm literally creating these from my hands. So there's obviously going to be a few, not imperfections, but a few variations to what I'm creating. But saying that, I do want to have my products I want to be able to have mastered creating my earrings so that they're beautiful enough to stand out even with their minor variations. My vision is to be able to, because I make my earrings in small batches. So I might
Yeah.
probably do 5 or 6 within a particular design. But my vision is to be able
Okay.
to advertise and say, okay, I've got these 6 earrings ready, and within the hour, those 6 earrings are gone. At the
Oh
moment,
wow. Yeah, yeah.
because sales haven't been as great. They're okay, but I seem to be
Okay.
making more than I sell, which is something that I need to rein in on.
Yeah.
Like I said, idea pops into my head, and straight away I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make earrings based on this.
Yeah.
So I'm actually creating a lot more because I've got so many ideas in my head. I'm creating so many earrings, but at the same time, I'm not selling as much as I am creating. So I'm just
Okay.
hoping one day I might be able to sell these as quickly as I've created them.
Oh,
That's
and
pretty much.
that's a good. Yeah, I must say that's a good vision, and I must also say I really like the designs that you make. I've seen them, and they're really, really creative and beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. So, what in your creative journey, in your designing journey, what would you say? What are the hurdles you faced so far, and how have you overcome them?
Um, I can tell you what is not a hurdle for me: coming up with an idea.
Oh,
everything,
wow.
everything else is pretty much. Whew. For I think my biggest hurdle is actually selling them, trying to get them out there because I haven't quite found my market. At the moment, I am more 80% of my sales have come from people that I know. The other
Right.
20% from someone who might have bought at a craft fair or someone who just happened to bounce upon them. So
Okay.
that is my biggest hurdle, trying to get my product seen besides those immediately around me, so that it's not just my
Okay.
family that are wearing
Yeah.
these, but a
Yeah.
wider cross section. So that is my biggest hurdle that I am still yet to overcome, but I haven't given up.
Right.
I've been doing this for about 5 months. I officially launched on September 14th. So I've only been
Right.
doing this for about 5 months. So I'm assuming that that is still early days and that eventually it will grow and it will progress. But
Yeah.
at this point, I'm just trying to find my market. I remember I did my first craft fair, didn't go as well as I had anticipated because it wasn't my market. I had
Okay.
found Brits, especially in that particular era, they were quite not ready for the loudness
Okay.
that came. I'm, a, I'm an islands girl. I'm from St. Vincent, and we're used to colours. We're used to colours, and I've
Yeah.
taken a learning experience because from that I've realised that I need to make my pieces, some of my pieces, not so big, not so loud, tone
All
them
right. Okay.
down,
Okay.
smaller. So yeah, it's just finding my market at the moment is my problem.
And while you're finding your market, then you're incorporating various things. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Right. If I was asked who has been your inspiration and why have they
Journey.
been an inspiration to you? Or is that Johnny then?
That is journey, part of the journey of Jerissa. Just trying to get this cameo in life.
Yeah, you can have
Okay.
a wave and people can see where your inspiration has come from.
Journey, come and say hello.
Hi,
Yes.
Johnny.
Yes, this is yes, that is Journey. He is part of the name of the journey of Jerissa.
Yeah.
Jerissa is a joining together of my mother and father's name. My father's name was James and my mother's name was Jerissa. So it's pretty
Right.
much together of the person I created and those who created me. Hence the reason for for my logo being a butterfly.
All
So
right.
it sort of ties in with the journey from Jerissa really to journey, pretty much a stage of the butterfly, the journey of a butterfly really.
Yeah.
With my inspiration, as I said, my dad was a jeweler. He was a craftsman by trade, and
Hmm.
he was very. Some people say that at least one of us, because I've got a brother. I've got two brothers. I've got a brother at
Yeah.
home. One of us was looking at what my dad was doing. He was really
Yeah.
quite a creative person, and I'm influenced by a lot of his handiwork. He was very
Okay.
much
Okay.
into. He was very pro-African. He was full Afro wearing, traditional tunic wearing. He was pro-African, and
Yeah.
he even got in an African inspired top. And so a lot of
Okay.
my influences are quite tribal, even though there are
Okay.
a lot of variations. I do quite like the whole tribal, indigenous theme to my artwork, such as the case with the earrings I'm wearing.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
it, wearing is actually one of his original designs that I was able to get copied into a stamp,
All right.
to
Okay.
my earrings. Yeah, so it's pretty much him, as well as
Yeah.
if I'm just walking around or I'm just scrolling through and I see something, I go,
Yeah.
nice as earrings, or I like that
Yeah.
color scheme. I just try to incorporate it into something that I like.
Yeah, I must say, actually, I really do find your designs very unique, Nishika. I was looking at your one that you made lately, and you had a dolphin on it, and I was like, oh wow, where does she get these ideas
Oh,
from?
that's that one right there.
That's the best one by
Yeah,
far.
That's that one right
yeah,
there.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one. I really loved it. I was like, wow, where does she get these creations? I mean, creative ideas from?
yeah.
So, I know you as a mother, a university graduate, a wife. I know you have a day job. You're a creative designer, and as well, um, starting a business. How do you handle all these different? How do you juggle all these different things in your life?
I don't. I'm being honest. I don't.
You don't? So how
I
do you
actually
manage to do all of it anyway?
I suck at it greatly. I spend a lot of late nights
Okay.
downstairs trying to do what I want to do. And I think that is the disappointing part of it for me as well, in that, I spend so much time and effort to create something and then it doesn't get sold. So it does
Oh,
slightly crush me, but then I still keep going because that's just a mentality in me. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
very good
yeah,
at everything. I do my job, I finish work at 3, I pick my son up, I come home, I start cooking. And it's when I'm finished cooking until whenever it's bedtime, it's when I'll be starting, um, trying to do some designs, trying to finish up what I've got to do. So it
yeah.
really, I'm not the best at balancing it, if I'm honest, but I'll work on it. I'll work.
So you say you're not the best, but would you say you're trying at least?
I'm trying. I'll get there.
You're
I
trying.
will.
You're
I'll,
yeah.
I will get there.
I must say it's an inspiration, Nishika. I mean, to as much as
Thank
you say
you.
you get there, to do all those things, and to put your heart out there and go for something that you think
Yep.
you want to do it.
Very much
Right.
so.
So,
Thank you.
what advice would you give to someone interested in starting a creative business, designer business?
What I would say to them is to start small and start with friends and families. Don't go thinking, you know what, I'm going to be the next Gucci, and you start investing all your money and everything, because it's definitely not going to work unless you've got the backing of, Donald Trump's dad, which I'm
Yeah,
sure not a lot of people will do. If you're really starting off new, I suggest you start small and start
yeah,
with friends and family. Um, I started making them just to see where I was, to see, because with the earrings, they're made from polymer clay, and polymer clay has to be baked at a certain temperature to ensure that they don't break, because if they break, then they're not worth the money you've spent on them.
yeah,
Pretty much try everything out. Make sure that you've got it done right, that you've found the perfect type of, airing findings, whether you're looking for hooks, research it thoroughly as well. Know what works. In 2020, we're privileged to have the internet. We're privileged to have social media. So there's a lot of information out there that you can research. Just research, start small, and start with friends and gauge it to see whether or not it's going to happen. And, seek out the friends and family who are going to be honest with you. Not the ones that are going to say, yeah, do it.
Because we don't want to, yes, people.
I guarantee you, those are the very ones that aren't going to support you. Those are the ones that are going to just say, yeah. And then when it comes to saying, okay, where's the support? They're not going to support you because they were just there to say, yeah. So, seek out genuine people that will give you honest opinions, and people that will see that you've got something going, genuinely see that you have something and will support you with it.
Oh, all right. Nisheeka, I hear you. So what you're telling someone who's trying to start up a business is to start small and don't look for yes people, look for people who are truthful with you. I believe in that, being truthful with others, because at the end of the day, if you care, it's best to tell them the truth. But tell them the truth with love, though.
Yeah.
Right, Nisheeka, it's been a pleasure having you on the episode of Women Empowerment Network. Finally, how can people get in touch with you, or where can they buy your beautiful designs?
Okay, well, I would suggest anyone who's actually looking at this to first, you can follow me on Instagram. It is at The Journey of Jerissa. Journey is spelled Journee of Jerissa. We'd probably add a link. Journey, stop it, please. We'd probably add a link at the bottom. On Facebook, find me at The Journey of Jerissa. And I do have a shop site on New Monday, which is the British equivalent of Etsy. I have a shop site on New Monday, which is the British equivalent of Etsy. If you my Instagram page or my Facebook page, you can actually find it there, but we can probably add a link at the bottom of the live so people can find me there and see what I have on offer.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll take that and add that. We have some people watching from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you, Ruth Mbogwa. And thank you so much, Nisheeka, once again for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. I must say, she really has beautiful creations, Nisheeka. She's very creative. Thank you for joining us at African Women Empowerment Network, where we believe if we empower one woman, we empower a generation, we empower a nation. And we like to help women find their voice. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nisheeka.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.